Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for the very kind welcome. Good afternoon to everybody. It's great to be back here. I feel like this may be my third or fourth time just in the last few months, and it is always a great welcome. So appreciate that. It's an honor to be here for the launch of this institute. This is very special. And the idea that it's happening here at UChicago, that you are once again on the cutting edge, is frankly a moment of great pride for the governor of a state that has a great institution like this in it. Of course, the research and policy infrastructure that you're building are important for the world, but also for us as a state, and especially because you're discussing and making decisions about and engaging in the future of our planet. I first want to thank the leadership team here at UChicago, always welcoming and always here at these events, who have once again put this world-class university at the center of one of the most important policy conversations that we could have. And of course, that's President Paul Alivisatos, Provost Kate Baker, thank you very much. Institute Director Michael Greenstone, thank you for your leadership. I also see in the audience here our senior senator and somebody who has been carrying climate legislation and been an environmental advocate for as long as I can remember, and that's our great senior senator, Dick Durbin. For decades, this campus has been an incubator of world-changing advancements in science and economics and public policy, three disciplines that are absolutely critical in the fight against climate change. If we are to meet our climate goals as well as our energy needs, we will need scientific discovery and technological innovations deployed at a scale and pace never before seen in our history. The Institute of Climate and Sustainable Growth will be a place for leading academics, students, and policymakers to wrestle with the fundamental questions that will determine our future. These are questions that my administration has tried to grapple with, plenty over the last 5.5 years since I took office. Climate change represents one of the most significant challenges that our people and our planet have ever faced, maybe the most important. Already we are experiencing the consequences of human action or inaction, extreme temperatures, intensifying natural disasters, resource shortages, and just to be clear, as governor of a state, I am directly responsible for responding to many of those things with our National Guard, with the resources we have in our Illinois Emergency Management Agency, and so on. Our response to this crisis will impact future generations, likely more than any other single issue. Success or failure in this pursuit will dictate whether we'll have clean air and water at all, whether we'll continue to face increasingly calamitous natural disasters, whether we'll be able to live and raise our families as we have in the past. Just to point out to many of you who may not be from Chicago, or those from Chicago didn't know this, but we sit on the shores of and on top of 20% of the world's surface fresh water in the state of Illinois, 20% of the world's surface fresh water. So we are the protectors in many ways. Of course, the other states that surround Lake Michigan and the Great Lakes are too, but we have a special responsibility. We have aquifers across the state, rivers throughout the state. I was just in Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. They're grappling with where are they going to get their water from. And honestly, I'm saying, look some other direction. We've got ours. We all have to think about how we're going to preserve and enhance the safety of the fresh water that we have. That entire endeavor of the challenge that we face, that this institute is addressing, should feel daunting, because it is daunting. Therefore, we have a responsibility to craft our response with the ambition and urgency that this crisis requires. It's important also to say that at the same time the climate crisis must be addressed for how it might negatively affect our future, it also presents an opportunity that serves to motivate people in the present. With a motivation of this scale and the resources that it requires, we can fundamentally improve our world today. We are building up industries that drive growth and prosperity for our people. We can make our communities more, convenient and livable. We can drive technological advancements that dramatically improve quality of life. And that's all while addressing the challenge of climate change. With the urgency that climate change requires, the Illinois General Assembly and I have advanced an ambitious energy and environmental policy agenda, pledging to utilize the levers at our disposal to meet this moment. We brought together competing stakeholders, energy producers, unions, environmentalists, and we listened to scientists and researchers to craft one of the boldest clean energy laws in the entire nation, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, or CEJA. Already, it has caused the replacement of fossil fuel generating energy and transportation across the state. We only passed it in 2021, and it's incentivized tens of billions of dollars in private investment in renewable and clean energy deployment. In just the last few years, Illinois has more than doubled our renewable production and reached nearly 2/3 clean energy generation in the state of Illinois. That's a big deal. And it's something that I brag about as I travel the world promoting the state of Illinois, that we have made enormous progress. We started with an awful lot, I must say, but we now are making progress every single year that is worthy of calling out. But we're not stopping there. The legislature and I understand, as you all do, that every fraction of a percent reduction in planetary warming represents billions of dollars in savings for our economy. And I say our, meaning the state of Illinois and the country more broadly. And likely, it means saving thousands of lives. We have an obligation to leverage as much as possible our creativity and innovation toward our climate goals. That principle powered our passage of nation-leading legislation in other areas, often untouched by climate discussion. It was mentioned just a few minutes ago, like carbon capture, sequestration, and sustainable aviation fuel. We can all debate about, what the efficacy of all these things are over the long run and whether they're sustainable for, 100 years or decades. But they're an important piece of what we all ought to be addressing and iterating around in order to make progress here. And in the spirit of this institute, we focused on areas of sustainable growth. I have long rejected the idea that climate policy must necessarily come at the expense of economic opportunity. To the contrary, if we're going to meet our climate goals in a reasonable amount of time, we will need to incentivize growth. We will need policies that leverage public capital with private capital, drive innovation, and fuel our entrepreneurial spirit. We will need to keep people engaged in the new energy economy, creating good jobs, building a skilled workforce for it, and revitalizing communities that through climate-focused industrial growth. We have left too many communities behind over the years not addressing climate justice, and that is also an important piece of what we need to do over the coming years, and I know this institute will be engaged in. Those are some of the principles that are driving our vision for a fossil fuel-free future. And while I'm proud of the progress that we've made so far, we have a lot of work ahead of us. We have our work cut out for us, which is why I'm really glad that we'll have institutions like this institute to help us get there. This is a place where the brightest minds in the field will come together from around the world and from right here in Chicago to drive world-altering progress. A place where no stone will be left unturned, I'm sure, in the fight against climate change. A place where our future will be built as we build it together. I'm very proud to be governor of a state where we will work together to make this kind of positive change and where we will have an institute that will help us lead the way. Thank you all very much.